Well, hello, strangers. I'm back at it. I'm at a cemetery in Maynardville, Tennessee, called the Carr Cemetery, and I'm in the oldest section of it, I think. There is some over here that I might hit, but I'm not going to get the newer ones. Got my special guest. My grandkids are with us today, and we are going to pick one of the stones to clean with some D2 solutions. So if you guys don't know much about Maynardville, it is supposed to be the cradle of country music. Roy Acuff, Carl Smith, a couple more I can't remember right off the top of my head, are from this area, and it is a beautiful area. It's in Union County, Tennessee, which is right on the border of Knoxville. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and get started, and then the kids are going to probably pick out which one they would like to clean, and they may do some ghost hunting. There goes Ellabelle, and there's Paxton. Hey Pax, say hi. So here we go. We got, now see, I'm already starting a new one, and it's Ada, daughter of
M Satterfield,
born June 6, 1898, died September the 24th of 19, and that didn't work. Did you get the flashlight?
I don't.
Okay. Greg's got the flashlight. See if you hold that.
1913.
1912.
No.
Okay, 3, yeah. 1913. So the kids, the reason why they're here with us, they are so excited to do this because they're getting interested in history and ancestry, and I'm so glad that they do that. So, oh, Ella's found one over here in the woods here. Let's see what we got, Ella. Oh, it is one. Uh-oh, can we read it? Let me see if I can. Let me get in there, because I don't want you to get snake bit. Oh, look, there's creeping myrtle. This was Delbert M. Marsh, December 28th, 1862 to April the 10th of 1923. And if you look back through there, there's a lot. Ella, let me tell you something about this stuff here. You see this? Yeah. Some people call it finca. I call it creeping myrtle. But people would plant this in cemeteries years ago because it would kill the weeds. And if you look back through there, there's not a lot of weeds, but there's a lot of creeping myrtle. So there could be a lot of people buried back there that don't have stones. So, yeah. All right, let's get to this big one right here.
Now, this one I'm pretty sure we need to clean. Look at.
Yeah, we can't even read that one. Is it all weathered away? Okay, here it is. Okay, Step back just a little bit, sweetheart. Lucy J., the wife of W.T. Carden or Garden?
I think so.
Looks like a C.
Yeah.
1850 to 1910. And then, let's go on back. Let's hope nothing runs out. Look at them. They're waving at you, Ella. We got Cassidy.
No, that's a picture.
Gordon W. Cassidy, 1851 to 1938. Look at those pretty wild flowers, wild roses, and I'm not sure that's not wild roses. I don't know what those are, but they're pretty. Oh, here's one, guys, that we can't hardly read. I think we're going to have the flashlight. I do see Carter. Carter E-O-L. Carter Lee Cassidy. Carter Lee Cassidy. He was born in 1887 and he died in 1914. That's an old one. That's a real old one. Okay. Now, Go back up this way. I don't know why I'm going zigzag. Here's someone who's been buried here, but they don't have a name. Back then, a lot of people didn't have money for even a tombstone, so they'd put a rock marker so they could remember where they buried their loved one. But we don't know who they are. That's sad, isn't it? Oh, wow, that one is really bad. Okay. I think this would be a good one to clean.
Do you want me to tell Poppy to come over?
Okay, first thing you got to do, Ella, is take that scraper. And we do have D2 solution, so everything's going to be safe, and it will take a while for this to whiten up. But Ella, you need to scrape off all of that stuff on there. Yep, scrape it. There you go. That's what you do first. Yep, and then we're going to spray some D2 on there. How about if we spray some water first?
What do you like press that?
Wait a minute, I may have to pump it up. Yeah. Paxton, you want to pump that up for me? You know how to pump that up? There you go, get some pressure build on that. Okay, now Ella, take your scraper again. We'll wet that down with water. Uh-oh. And Ella, you go ahead and take your scraper. There you go. See, it's coming off a little easier. See all this? Ooh, that's gunk, ain't it? Look at there.
Oh, you can violate it.
Yeah, okay, you keep doing that. I'll spray you some more water on there. We're, don't mind the sound. We're getting the water jug pumped up. Okay, looky there. Just by water and doing that, it came a little clean. Okay, Ella, you want to do the top? Because we need to do all sides. There you go. Good job. All right, Paxton. I don't know, Poppy must be having a hard time with the D2 solution. But for now, we're just scraping off the lichen, I guess, and the gunk. And then we're going to put the D2 solution on there and scrub it with these brushes that came with the D2 solution, except that one. This one came, that's a nylon brush. This is a soft bristle brush. So, for those who are out there that think that we are going to damage your grave, nope, we're going to try to preserve one. Okay. Let's see what we got here. I don't know what's happening. I can't get this one to... Oh, shoot. Okay, hang on. I'll tell you what, why don't you just open it up and I'll sprinkle some on there. We're not very prepared, so sorry if this video is going to be crazy long, but it's all right. We're just glad to be back, ain't we, Ella? Well, Ella's never been back, but we're glad to be here. There you go. All right, I tell you what, let me pour some, because we can't get that thing. I just pour a little bit here, because I don't want to waste it. This stuff's expensive. We'll pour it. And Paxton or Ella, one, whoever wants, or both, can go ahead and scrub.
Which one?
Doesn't matter, whichever one you want to use. I'm so glad that these kids are interested in our history at a young age. I can see the name Selma coming out. Let's see if this one might work a little better. It's a little harder than that one, Alan. You'll have to do it like that, okay? Do it in circles and push really hard.
It's hitting on my face.
Oh, wow. Look at there. You're already, look how much you're cleaning it. So this is Selma, and she's the daughter of Buckner. Ella's doing a good job. Keep going, Ella. Paxton, if you want to walk around with your app, see what you find, you let me know, and I'll come to you. Just watch for snakes. And she's done all of that.
Yeah.
Huh?
There's a mosquito.
Oh, well, we'll have to get the bug spray. You're doing a really good job, Ella. If you do it in circles and maybe put, you want me to help you a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ella's a lot like me. She likes to clean, don't you, Elle?
Yeah. So do we get some more water on this?
Yeah, we'll rinse it off in just a minute. Let me get this stuff on here. And, oh, about got that in my eye.
Oh, what's the name of it?
So this is Selma, and she was the daughter of R.D. and M.J. Buckner, and she was born in 1895, and she died in 1900. No, she was born in 1898. So this little girl here was only 2 years old, and she deserves to have her stone clean. She didn't have much of a life down here, but she sure is going to have a good life now, or she's having one. Okay, so that is, okay, this is water too, so you want to spray this instead? And go ahead and rinse that off real good. Maybe the next time we come back, it'll be real white. No, I'll do it because I don't want you to. Okay, Ella, do the back. Wait, let me pump it up for you some more. There we go. Yeah, look at there. Look at all that stuff coming off of it. Good job, Ella.
Oh, the top is getting a good scrub.
Well, you know, this D2 solution will really clean that. And it takes a few months, but it'll brighten up and it'll look like a brand new stone. Now make sure you get the base around the bottom there. Rinse all that stuff off. Good job. Good job. All right, let's move along while Ella finishes that up, and we'll go on down here.
We are cutting the on-site video here due to the fact that it was getting hotter than what we expected. So the rest of this video will be the slideshow format that we've been using lately. And I want to tell you a little something that happened while we were at the cemetery. If you notice, our granddaughter Ella was cleaning this little girl's headstone, and she went back to it about 2 or more times to make sure it was really clean. She told us the reason she did that was because it was such a tragedy that the girl had died when she was only 2 years old, and that was really precious. Since there are so many graves in this cemetery, we will be mainly looking at the older ones and those we could find some history on. So let's get started. First, we have Coram Acuff, 1846 to 1931, and his wife, Nancy Ellen Clapp Cuff, Acuff, 1849 to 1908. He served in Company D, 1st Tennessee Federal Infantry, which was the Union Army. In 1874, he was elected County Court Clerk of Union County and was twice elected, serving 12 years. In 1886, he was admitted to the bar. He was a representative of 2 counties in the legislature of 1887 and 1888. And according to family historian Judd Acuff, Coram, while a representative in the Tennessee General Assembly in 1887 through 1889, was the first former federal soldier in the Tennessee legislature who voted in favor of pensions for Confederate veterans. Now later on, he served as a Union County clerk from 1896 to 1910. Now him and his wife are the grandparents of country music legend Roy Acuff. Next, we have Mary E. Acuff, 1853 to 1873. Now we have Nancy Acuff, 1848 to 1875. Now in this picture you can see that it's been cleaned, and we believe it's shaving cream, but we did not do this. And whoever did it did not rinse it off. That's the reason it's stained the way it is. Next we have Earl J. Ayler, 1897 to 1940. And he served in the Army Aviation Corps during World War I. Now we have Edith Ayler, 1905 to 1905. And she was just 2 days old when she passed away. Next, we have Martha B. Ayler, 1876 to 1879. Now we have Mary J. Mitchell Ayler, 1844 to 1917. Now we have Nicholas Ayler, 1834 to 1913. And the inscription on his tombstone says, and I quote, "He was an orderly in the Southern Army in the War of 1861 through 1865, a member of the Baptist Church. He was the first licensed lawyer of Union County and the first county judge of Union County, and held many official positions of trust and honor," end quote. Next, we have Robert B. Ayler, born and died in 1918, and he was just 18 days old. Next is Thomas Ayler, born and died July 20th, 1908. Next, we have John Clarence Bailey, 1842 to 1910, and his wife, Amanda Mahela, I hope I pronounced that right, Morgan Bailey, 1849 to 1905. And this is a picture of his military stone. He served in Company D, the 10th Michigan Cavalry during the Civil War. Next, we have Versi Bailey, 1910 to 1991, and he served as a technician 5th class in the United States Army. Next, we have Albert Foster Baker, 1846 to 1927. Now we have Fannie E. Baker, born and died in 1874, and she was only 24 days old, when she passed away. Next, we have John Cook Baker, 1819 to 1897. Now we have Leah Emily Huddleston Baker, 1816 to 1886. Now we have Mary Emmeline Sharp Baker, 1849 to 1921. Now we have Sarah Adeline Sellers Baker, 1859 to 1903. Next is Ferdy Bales, 1876 to 1916. Next, Alfred Beeler, 1839 to 1904. And now we have Catherine, and they called her Katie, Sharp Beeler, 1858 to 1928. And her headstone says Katie C., so I'm thinking that the C there is for Catherine. Next, we have Jacob Howard Beeler, 1809 to 1880. Now, here's another stone that we did not put the shaving cream on at all. And these pictures are all taken from findagrave.com. Next, we have Lucinda, she went by Lucy, Hollingsworth Beeler, 1816 to 1887. Now we have Benjamin Franklin Berry, 1858 to to 1940. Next, we have Martha May Linda Ellison Berry, 1866 to 1915. And then you'll notice her headstone only has May Linda Berry on it. Next, we have Manna A. Boriff, 1889 to 1931. And here's a picture of him. Next, we have James Wesley Branson, 1827 to 1895. And his wife, Bartheny P. Dalton Branson, 1831 to 1901. And he served in the Mexican War, and later was also a captain in Company D of the 1st Tennessee Volunteer Infantry. And here's his military stone from the Civil War. And later, he was also a member of the State Constitutional Convention of 1870. Next, we have David Branson, 1781 to 1830. Now we have Thomas Lorton Branson, 1816 to 1899. He served in the Union Army, Company B, 1st Tennessee Infantry during the Civil War. Now we have Lucy Mincy Branham, 1899 to 1978. And here's an older picture of her. Next, we have Malcolm H. Brogan, 1917 to 2004. And he was a sergeant in the United States Army Air Corps during World War II. Now we have Susan Ellender Sellers Johnson Carmen, 1855 to 1929. And she was known as Ma Johnson. And here's a photo of her. Next, we have Nancy Ann Marshall Carr, 1830 to 1863. Next is Nisi Hill Carr, 1837 to 1919. And now we have Dr. Richard Jackson Carr, 1826 to 1899. And he was a great-great-grandson of, it's either Zachary or Zachariah Isbell, who was one of the founders of Tennessee. And he was a great-grandfather of country music star Roy Acuff. Now we have Mary Alice Snodderly Cassidy, 1868 to 1899. Now we have George Clapp, 1824 to 1895. Next, we have William Alex Clapp, 1853 to 1924. And here's a picture of him. Next, it's Nancy I. Kaufman Damewood, 1865 to 1929. Now we have William K. Damewood, 1861 to 1928. Next is Elizabeth Dyer, 1807 to 1892. Next, we have Judge Abraham Lincoln, and they called him Abe, Evans, 1862 to 1932. And I think I know what side his parents were on during the Civil War by his name. Next, we have John Ferguson, and we don't have the birth year, but he died in 1876. And he served in Company F of the 3rd Tennessee Infantry in the Union Army during the Civil War. Now, even though we did not video this particular stone, when we came up to it, our grandson, Paxton, did clean it and did a pretty good job at it. Next, we have Charles Emerson Hankins, 1919 to 2000. And he served as a technician 5th class in the United States Army during World War II. Now we have John Huddleston, 1840 to 1889. We have John Fullerton Huddleston, 1807 to 1883. Now you'll notice on the headstone, his middle initial has been carved as E, so we don't know what happened there. Next, we have Minerva J. Weaver Huddleston, 1855 to 1879. Next is O.W. Huddleston, 1833 to 1863. Next is R.L. Huddleston, 1881 to 1916. Next is Louisa Melvina, and they call her Liza, Smith Irick, 1861 to 1942. Next we have Sergeant Robert Martin Irick, 1836 to 1864. He served in Company C, 2nd Tennessee Cavalry in the Union Army during the Civil War. Now, if you realize his death date, he did die while the war was still going on, but we could not find anything saying that he was killed in action. Next, we have William Lafayette Irick, 1860 to 1904. We have Hollis Johnson next, and he was born in 1922 and died in 1978. And he served as a corporal in the United States Army during World War II. Next, we have Harley Edward, and they called him Teddy, Jones Jr., 1948 to 2015, and he served as a private in the United States Army during the Vietnam War. Next, we have Harley Edward, and they called him Ted Jones Sr., 1926 to 2021, and he served in the United States Navy during World War II. Now we have Alexander Lafayette Leinart, 1829 to 1881, and he served in Company D of the 4th Tennessee Volunteers during the Mexican War. Next is Horace M. Leinart, 1857 to 1890. Next we have Mary Monroe Leinart, 1831 to 1909. Next we have A.L. Leinart, and we don't know his birth or death dates, but he did serve in the Mexican War. And folks, I think this could possibly be a one we just did. I just now noticed this. We did Alexander Lafayette Leinart, 1829 to 1881. He was served in the Mexican War. So this A.L. could be the same person. I'm not 100% sure. Next, we have Henry Lovell, 1857 to 1908. His wife, Annie Lovell, 1858 to 1906. Next, we have John Edgar Maples, 1878 to 1914. Now we have Lona Evans Maples, 1896 to 1919. And now we have William H. McAvee, 1875 to 1929. Next is Jacob D. Melterbarger, 1851 to 1929. And here is a photo of him. Next is Elizabeth Jane Merritt, 1827 to 1895. Next is Pleasant H. Miller, 1823 to 1891. Now we have Susan Jane Miller, 1836 to 1906. Next we have Alice Luvina Turner Mize, 1865 to 1906. And just look at that beautiful carving on her headstone. Next, we have John Wesley Mize, 1839 to 1881. And he served Company B, 1st Tennessee Infantry, Union Army during the Civil War. Next, we have Martha Adelaide Merritt Mize, 1848 to 1904. Next, we have William George Monroe, 1836 to 1907, and his wife, Adeline Monroe, 1848 to 1895. And here's a picture of both of them. And according to findagrave.com, he was a veteran, and based on the year that he was born, I'm guessing he served during the Civil War, though it does not say which side he was on. Next, we have Betty Monroe, 1870 to 1901. And this is a really unusual looking stone. Next, we have Bruce Edward Monroe, 1919 to 1992. And he served in the U.S. Army during World War II. Now we have Cordelia H., and they called her Cordy, Vidito Monroe, 1858 to 1907. Next, we have the Reverend Marcus, and he went by Mark Monroe, 1793 to 1870. And the inscription on his stone says, Pioneer Baptist Minister. And here is a photo of him. Next, we have Mary E. Monroe, 1868 to 1926. And this is another unique looking stone. Now we have Edward Moore, 1905 to 1974. And he was a private first class in the United States Army. Now we have Francis Marion Norris, 1842 to 1886. And according to findagrave.com, he served in Company D of the 1st Tennessee Infantry in the Union Army during the Civil War. Next, we have Rebecca Norris, 1811 to 1870. Next, we have Leo Petrie, 1920 to 1984, and he was a private in the United States Army during World War II. Next, we have Mary Ann Ridenauer, and I hope I pronounced that name right, 1844 to 1923. Next, we have Nancy E. Leinart Rogers, 1859 to 1880. And the inscription on her stone says, and I quote, Babe, as she was commonly called, proved by her everyday life her faith in that religion which she professed. Her last utterances to her friends, dying to a whisper, were, Farewell, meet me with Jesus and the angels, bright angels in heaven, in heaven, in heaven. End quote. Now, folks, that's a real good testimony right there. Next, we have Elizabeth Salling, 1812 to 1829. Next, we have William Harvey Satterfield, 1901 to 1980. And here's his picture. Next, we have Harriet E. Sellers, 1857 to 1880. Next is James Jefferson Sellers Sr., 1825 to 1950. And his wife, Susan Bayless Sellers, 1824 to 1891. Now we have Elizabeth E. Sharp, 1830 to 1918. Next we have Captain John Sharp, 1824 to 1889. And he was in Company B of the 8th Tennessee Cavalry Volunteers in the Union Army during the Civil War. Next is Matilda A. Sharp, 1848 to 1921. Next we have Rush Lewis Sharp, 1909 to 1984. And he served as a sergeant with the 497th Squadron of the 20th Bomber Command in the Pacific during World War II. And according to my research, I believe this particular group flew the B-29 Super Fortresses. Next is Melinda Shelby, 1832 to 1912. Now we have Claude Raymond Smith, 1900 to 1942. And he served in Company B of the 117th Infantry Regiment during World War I. Now, according to the research I found on this, his unit was advancing on the so-called Hindenburg Line when he was seriously wounded. Next, we have Daniel Smith, 1823 to 1896, and his wife Sarah, 1834 to 1900. And he served as a private in Company G of the 2nd Tennessee Cavalry, Union Army during the Civil War. Next, we have Corporal Daniel F. Smith, and we do not know his birth or death dates. And he served in Company D of the 1st Tennessee Infantry in the Union Army during the Civil War. Next, we have Glenn E. Smith, 1924 to 2001. He served as a private first class in the United States Army during World War II. Next is John G. Smith, 1844 to 1932, and he served in Company F of the 6th Tennessee Regiment in the Union Army during the Civil War. Next, we have John Paul, and they called him J.P. Smith, 1922 to 2002. And here's a picture of him and his family. Next is Louisa Cox Smith, 1841 to 1895. Next is Rufus M. Smith, 1832 to 1882. Next, we have Tate Lafayette Smith, 1927 to 1998, and he was a corporal in the United States Army during the Korean War. Next, we have Alvis Alfred Snodderly, 1843 to 1907, and he served as a first lieutenant in Company G of the 2nd Tennessee Volunteer Cavalry of the Union Army during the war between the states. And this is his military headstone. And here is his regular headstone. Next, we have George G. Snodderly, 1834 to 1877. Next, we have Isaac Snodderly, 1813 to 1886. And if you'll notice, the stone looks like it's been broken in the past down near the bottom. So the death date is according to the information I found on findagrave.com. Next, we have J.A. Snodderly. We do not have a birth or death dates on him. And he was a lieutenant in Company C, the 2nd Tennessee Cavalry in the Union Army during the Civil War. Next, we have Scott Isaac Wagoner, 1897 to 1972. And he served in Company 783, MTC, of the United States Army in World War I. And if anybody knows what the MTC stands for, please leave a comment, and I'm sure would appreciate it. Next, we have Virgil Wallace, 1898 to 1944. And he served as a corporal in the 119th Infantry of the 30th Division of the United States Army during World War I. Next is John W. Borick, 1825 to 1899. And last and certainly not least, we have W. M. Weaver, 1833 to 1880. And that will do it for this video. As you've noticed, there are a lot of veterans buried in this cemetery, and I hope we do not miss any of them, because we owe all of them a great deal. I'm sorry we did not list all the people that are buried here, but it would have taken way too much time. And we're also hoping to have the grandkids back in another video pretty soon. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Please hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons, and we will see you next time.